What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of the Sheehan Show here on Sherdog.com. My name is Sean Sheehan. I'm back with my top bets for the week in the world of mixed martial arts. And by God, do we have a busy week coming up. We have the PFL 2 for 2025 coming up after a brilliant opening card. And then we have arguably the biggest and best UFC fight of our event even of the year thus far. Let's be optimistic and hope we get even bigger and better throughout the rest of the year. But this one is pretty amazing. So I am going to give you some bets from all of those. And you know, I've kind of I usually have my top 5 bets. I have a good few bets this week. I have a good few bets. So I'm actually going to give you a pick for every single PFL fight. I have my top 2, and I'll put them towards my record. I have my top 2 from the UFC. I'll put them towards my record, but I'll give you a few more picks from the UFC as well. I have the Flier and I have the pay-per-view parlay. So strap in. We have a lot of bets this week, a lot of stuff to talk about. But before we talk about next week, I don't really want to do it this week, but we have to talk about last week. I wouldn't be, I wouldn't be honest if I didn't do it. And we had a disastrous week last week. We had a bad week the week before. The week before that, we had probably the best week we've ever had with a plus 1,200 bet. And then 2 other plus bets and 2 other almost even money bets. But yeah, this week, no, it just did not hit. It did not hit. Adam Barracks didn't win. Jena Bishop didn't win. And I'd be that one annoyed me a little bit. But anyway, Berkhamov didn't win. Emmett didn't win. Emma won, relatively close, but not close. And in our Irish double, Rhys McKee did win a plus 150, but Nathan Kelly ended up losing that fight in the second round. So our parlay didn't hit. So God almighty, not good. I think that's the first time this year I didn't hit one, which is, have we done it twice? No, we've done it twice now. Atrocious. But look, I think people forgive me. I hit a 1,200 bet like 10 days ago or whatever. So we're still riding the goodwill from that. So overall, we've hit 26 from 56. I don't like that percentage, and we've hit the one Flier, which is pretty good. But as I say, let's move on and get away from last week, and let's move to next week. I'm going to start with the PFL, and then I'm going to do the UFC bet. So I'll give you my top 2 bets for PFL, then I'll give you the rest of the bets, and we can go from there. Right, bet number 1, I'm going with I'm picking Jake Hadley at minus 118 in his fight with Mateus Matos. And I'll be honest, I was looking at this the other day, so I've been looking at it for the last couple of days as I usually do, waiting for, some of the prices maybe to adjust, but also for the best fight decision, the props to come out and things like that. And this bet has moved a good bit in the last couple of days. Like, I was thinking about picking Hadley, and he was north of minus 150. I'm looking here as minus 159 2 days ago. And now he's minus 118. In some places, he's still upwards of, I see he's minus 139. I don't think I think that price will probably go pretty soon, but he's like minus 125 still some places. But this minus 118, again, coming in from minus 159. I like that. Some people go the opposite way when the prices are getting worse. They back it because maybe the smart bettors are on it, and maybe they are. Maybe I'm not the smart bettor, but that gives me optimism to betting them more. I'm getting a better price. I was going to bet them 2 days ago. You give me a better price now. Absolutely, I'll take it. And I always think that as well about horse racing. Like, the horse doesn't know the price has changed, does it? It was 10 to 1 5 minutes ago. He's 25 to 1 now. The horse is going to run the same, But anyway, I'm picking Jack Hadley. The reason I'm picking him is, and I mentioned this, and if you haven't checked out my preview for this PFL card, it's out in Sherdog already on YouTube, on Spotify, on Sherdog.com. You'll find it there. Go to the best place to do is go to the podcast tab, Sheehan Show, and you'll find all my shows there. Easiest place you can find them all. But I've watched Jake Hadley, his whole career basically, from going through Cage Warriors, and even fought Blaine O'Driscoll, my countryman, in Bellator a good few years ago, and going through fighting Luke Shanks. And I remember thinking about him at that time, like, this guy is just, he can do it all, really. He has knockout power. He has very, very good submissions when it gets to the ground. And I think his striking is a little bit awkward for a lot of people as well. And you look at the Matos fight against Kasimov, and now Kasimov is a very, very, very good fighter, but he has lost. He's fought some very good guys, but he's lost to those good guys. Petr Yan, obviously, and Magomedov again. So this would mean Jake Hadley, would have to be someone who is, who's in that discussion, who's fighting those sort of lads. But and again, look, the price will suggest it's very close, and absolutely very close. No shred or doubt about that. But I would think the big advantage that Jake Hadley has over a guy like Matos is that Matos and Caelan Loughran kind of made this mistake, I think, as well in their fight. Jake Hadley kind of lures you in sometimes to thinking you can beat him in a certain area, and then he might just be a little bit better. Now, that doesn't always happen. But you look at the Matos fight, right, where Kasimov took him down. He was very active with his guard. He was going for stuff. He was going for a guillotine. He has a good guillotine, no doubt about that. But if he does that against Jake Hadley again, like, Matos has a good takedown defense up to a certain point. And once you get him down, he will go and he will attack things, which I think is a bad move against a guy like Jake Hadley, who himself will jump on things and go for things and try to finish guys. And again, I was like, one of the lads put out a clip of me kind of saying it in the previous show as well. Like, now is kind of the time for Jake Hadley. And again, this is kind of a bet. Maybe some people will wait on this bet, and maybe the next time. Like, I think this is a real turning point fight in Jake Hadley's career, and I'm taking a little bit of a fight early because, maybe I have a bit of bias there, having watched him when he was kind of a little bit younger and really appreciating how good he is. But if he beats Mateusz Matos, I think we should have a very different view of Jake Hadley. And I think that's because Matos is really, really, really good. But I also think Hadley is really good. But the thing about Hadley is he's just coming into his own now. He's just 28 years of age. He's 15 fights in there. Sometimes, like, I don't, and maybe because I look at the lads when they're younger, in terms of the Irish lads here when they're amateurs or just coming through, or the lads in cage warriors when they're 5 or 6 fights into their career. And I kind of, like, we have an understanding that lads have to have 15 fights before they're able to fight at a level. Whereas, like, I think a lot of the stuff these is like, oh, I just watched UFC or I just watched the PFL or whatever. And you see Paul Hughes when he's Paul Hughes now, not when he's an amateur, 15 years ago talking to Samir Bay or whatever. It takes a lot for people to become that. And just because Jake Hadley maybe wasn't ready 3 or 4 fights ago, now is the time where he's getting ready. That Sutherland loss was tough on him. The Caelan Loughran win was very, very good, but this is a big fight for him. I just feel like he was happy to go to PFL. I think it will be a good spot for him. I think this is a tough fight, and I think if he gets through it, you'll be looking back at this price and thinking it's a very, very good one. Now, again, a losable fight too, because Matos is very, very, very good. But I'm going with Caelan Loughran. I have a belief in his ability, and I like that price. -118 is a very, very good price. Right, the second one I'm going for is Jena Bishop over Kane Watanabe. Kana's a very good fighter herself, but again, a bit of a soft spot for Jena Bishop, and Jena is coming in at -170. Another price, sorry, actually -163. She was actually -170 yesterday. She had been -175, out as far as -179, I believe, but into -163 today. And again, give me that little bit of a better price, and I will absolutely take that little bit of a better price. I think this is the type of fight that Jena Bishop, I think, needs after last year. Obviously, she went in there, she fought Tyler Santos, she fought Dakota Ditcheva, lost to Ditcheva, but she went all 3 rounds with Tyler Santos. She got a split decision out of there, and she could have won that fight. It was a very, very close fight. The only issue I always say about Jena Bishop, she's 39 years of age, but she's only 9 fights into her career. She's won all 7 apart from those 2 I just mentioned. But, Watanabe, more experience, but 36 years of age as well. She won all of her big fights, except she lost to Liz Carmouche twice, lost to Ali Malay as well once a couple of years ago. The reason I like Bishop in this fight is relatively simple. I think it's because she is a very, very good wrestler, very, very good on the ground. Obviously, a lot of submissions. I'm just looking at four submission wins in her career, and she's only had 7 wins. And Watanabe on the other side of it is, look, she's very strong, and she has good offensive wrestling, I think, of herself. But, she needs to have that control, and I think the slower pace of a fight really, really suits her. She's kind of the steady, orthodox fighter who is good and well-rounded, and a good striker and a good wrestler and good jiu-jitsu. Whereas Jena Bishop is like, right, I'm going to berserk you here. I'm going to go forward. I'm going to go throw everything. I'm going to make it awkward. I'm going to fight southpaw. I'm going to fight orthodox. And she has shown as well in that Tyler Santos fight, and even, for as long as that lasted, I suppose, into the JF fight, she can take a shot too. There's no doubt about that. Like Watanabe, she's not the biggest finisher in the world, I suppose. She's 3 knockout finishes, but I think most of them are early on in her career, and a lot of them TKOs, I think, on the ground as well. But I think Bishop will be able to kind of run her forward, and make the fight just dirty on her and nasty. I think she'll be able to win it that way. Like Watanabe is a good fighter and probably underrated, and she did a good job against Liz Carmouche. But I think Liz is the type of fighter as well that maybe isn't as attacking as she once was in the Jena Bishop type of sense. So if people are thinking maybe that's a similar matchup, I don't necessarily think it is. I think Bishop will be more headstrong, more go forward, and I think she'll probably tire Watanabe out and maybe win the decision there. So that is that. So let's that's the 2 PFL picks, but I am going to give you all the rest of the available PFL picks here as well, and I'm going to use the magic of a stream deck to go over here and look. Shout out to our friends at Best Fight Odds. So the first fight here, Josh Renninghaus against Leandro Higo. Obviously, we're picking Higo here. He's best price minus 370. Renninghaus, I heard a quote I think it was over in when the lads of Sherdog was tweeting it out from the press conference on Wednesday, and he was kind of saying that this is his opportunity he's been waiting for. Watching tape of him, he's a good fighter. Like, is that plus 310 a mad flyer? No, I don't think it's a mad flyer, because of the way Higo fights when he waits and he bides his time an awful lot. There's a tendency sometimes for Higo to do that a little bit too much. Now, having said that, I do still think he will win. I think he will have the better of Josh, and I think he'll get the job done. So let's move back over and give the picks for the rest. I was very interested. I on the preview show, I gave the line for this, and I don't think it was that far away from what it is. Obviously, this fight has only been made in the last couple of days. Ekaterina Shaklova against Juliana Velasquez, the new co-main event, I believe it is. Shaklova plus 154, Velasquez minus 185 best price. You have to go for Velasquez there on short notice. I do think though Shaklova is a tough enough matchup for her, but it's a massive rise up in levels for Shaklova. I'll have to go with her there. A couple of these we can run through pretty quickly, because I think Newsy beats Gutierrez. I think that's a bad matchup for Gutierrez. Newsy obviously coming over from Europe and did very, very well there. Kasimov, the best price, minus 400 here. I'd be, if you're putting something into a parlay or anything, I think he gets Wetzel out of there pretty quickly. Here is one with Liz Carmouche, right? Best price minus 649. You see her here up as far as minus 910. If I'm betting someone in that fight, I'm betting plus 575 Yair Joanna. Now, I don't think Yair Joanna is the best fighter in the world or anything like that, but Liz Carmouche is getting on. Liz Carmouche is not as young as she once was. She struggled against Watanabe last year at times. I would absolutely not and tell anyone not to bet Liz Carmouche at any price like that. If you maybe if you want to go for Liz to win by submission or something like that, maybe those prices aren't up yet, but not a straight up bet. I would definitely take Yair Joanna at that. Now, do I think she will win? No, I still think Liz will win, but that price is a bit off for me. We obviously talked about Hadley, and we talked about Bishop, that's That's the top and bottom of it, I suppose, for the Avskarova and Diana fight. That's an interesting one as well. I think that has changed in the last couple of days. That price has kind of come in, as you see here. Yeah, the price is going down for Avskarova. And I do like her in that fight, to be honest. I like the kind of the straight shots of her. And yeah, I'll probably go with that as my pick for that one. Right, that is PFL. Let's talk about the UFC and let's get straight into it with bet number 3. I'm going to start at the top again, lads. There's no point starting anywhere else. I'm going to go for Alexander Volkanovski at -125. And I'll be honest here. I said it on what podcast? The Severe MMA podcast, whatever podcast I was on the other day. I think I might have even said it on like our top 5 fights for the month. And actually, do you know what? I saw my guy Zane Simon, who I think is a very smart guy, saying it as well, that I think watching Diego Lopez, there's just something missing, right? Like, it's very hard to watch Diego Lopez footage, watch Alexander Volkanovski footage, and say that guy Lopez is going to beat that guy Alexander Volkanovski. Like, I don't think they're in the same stratosphere as fighters. Like, I think Volkanovski is so much better as an all-around fighter, as a technical fighter, as a champion fighter. Way better. The only problem is, are we talking about that Volkanovski? Like, are we talking about the Volkanovski that went in there and destroyed Holloway, once at least, but went toe-to-toe with Holloway, destroyed Chan Sung Jung, destroyed, many people, beat Brian Ortega, Yair Rodriguez, Chad Mendes, Jose Aldo, and all of those. Are we talking about that guy? Or are we talking about, a finished fighter? Are we talking about that, right? Because that is to me the key for this. And I don't want to take anything away for Diego Lopez or anything like that, but I don't think Diego Lopez is at that level. But Diego Lopez is at good enough of a level that if Volkanovski is no longer at that level, he will be able to beat him. And that might sound a little bit disrespectful, right? But I implore anyone to go and watch those fights, the last few fights of Lopez, and even, Volkanovski, okay, the first Makasha fight, he was brilliant in it. That wasn't that long ago. Like, it was, 18 months ago or whatever. Oh, sorry, it was 2 years ago now. This is just over 2 years ago, in fact. But, like, he's only fought, he fought 3 times in 2023. He beat Yair Rodriguez. It was short notice in the other one. And then he went in against Topuria. And I think Topuria is, I picked him to beat Volkanovski. That's how good I think Topuria is. I think he is the next level of fighter. But, like, Lopez, I'm impressed with what he can do and win against Ortega and Ige and Sadiq Yusuf and Sabatini. But, like, you look at him and the way he moves and the way he throws his shots, it's not near the level of Alexander Volkanovski. Not even close. But he has, like, really good heart. He's a very good chin. He will go forward. He's a finisher. 22 finishes in his career. Very, 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 very good fighter. But I like the question here. The question here with this pick is a very, very simple question. Do you think Alexander Volkanovski is done? Like, is Alexander Volkanovski so over the hill and finished that someone who shouldn't be able to compete with him can beat him? And my answer is no. I'm going to say no. I'm going to pick Volkanovski. And do you know what as well? We're a betting show here. And that price of -125, I think it's just crazy. I think it's just crazy with those two lads lined up against each other. But we'll see. We all know, that stat that's going around. What is it? Lads over 35 years of age have never gotten the belt back, or once, maybe ever, whatever it might be. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen, but there's too much doubt for me. And, like, the problem is, I've looked at lads over the last few years, like the likes of, Izzy, and you could say Petr Yan, maybe even, but maybe not. He's kind of bounced back a bit. But even maybe Leon Edwards, and lads that reach that mountaintop lost and then they just don't make the comeback. They just can't get back. That does happen. Now, maybe I'm talking people out of the bet here, but no, I'm still sticking with it. I'm going with Volkanovski to win on -125. My next bet, and honestly, lads, this Paddy Pimblett, Michael Chandler, I don't really even want to give a bet for this fight, to be honest, but I'm giving you one anyway because, and okay, the bet is under 2.5 rounds. This is a 5-round fight, remember, at -138. I love this fight with all my heart. I love this fight. I don't know, have I been as excited about a fight as much as I'm excited as this in... There was probably something that happened, maybe last year or something, but it's a long, long time. Like I remember talking to people about TJ Dillashaw against Cody Garbrandt back in the day. When it was all like the rivalry, who's going to be the better fighter and all that. And I was so excied about it. Like Chael Sonnen versus Anderson Silva too. After all of what happened in the first, I was just so excited for that fight. Like, what's going to happen? I just don't know what's going to happen. And this is the fight as well. I don't know what's going to happen. I really, really don't. Like, I went back last night and I watched Paddy Pimblett's last 2 fights, Tony Ferguson and Bobby Green. And he looked so bad in that Tony Ferguson fight. It was untrue. But he looked very good in the Bobby Green fight. And like very good in a way that changed everything he needed to change from the Tony Ferguson fight. And what was that? He wasn't as flat-footed. He was moving around. He was, getting out from straight punches, but also like hooks at a range where he shouldn't be. But I think, there was some sort of ankle injury in the first fight. It was grand by the second fight. But the difference here with this one, it's over 5 rounds. Can he do that moving, stepping away thing for 5 rounds? I don't know. If he fights that slower game, that in the pocket game, he is going to get knocked out here 100%. If he fights the way he fought against Tony Ferguson, against Michael Chandler, he is getting knocked out. There's no shred of doubt in my mind. He has to fight the way he fought against Bobby Green for as long as this fight goes. But at the other side of it, if he does fight that way early, I do see a world where he can take Michael Chandler down and submit him. I do see a world where he hits Michael Chandler with a big shot, jumps on his back and rear naked chokes him, or lands that big shot, ground and pounds him, and it's all over. Like, it's funny. I went through a range of emotions last night watching the Ferguson fight. I was like, I'm Michael Chandler 100%. And then watching the Bobby Green fight, I'm like, well, those adjustments actually are probably very good for a Michael Chandler fight. But what I do think will happen is, I think either way, Paddy will be forced into something. I don't think Michael Chandler is going to stand around and watch Paddy fight from long range. The biggest issue with Michael Chandler, he does a lot of kind of chasing, and he chases with his punches rather than kind of just closing off the cage, which is very dangerous for Paddy if I'm being honest. But if Paddy's team is smart and they have probably seen that, but that's going to take a lot of work from Paddy to get on, the balls of his feet and get away from that. That's going to make him tired, and that's going to force him into things, and that'll either be good or bad, right? And that's why I'm picking the under 2.5 rounds. I think Chandler will force Paddy into something. He'll either force him into something very bad or he'll force him into something good. Like, I find it very, very hard to see this fight going to decision. I find it very hard not to see someone getting clipped, not to see someone getting felled, not to see someone getting submitted here. And that's why I like the under. Like, I think Chandler will either knock him out or Paddy will finish him. I think Paddy could knock him out or Paddy could submit him. Like, and a few years ago, I was not a Paddy believer at all. Like, but I am now because things have changed. Paddy has gotten a lot better. He's gotten his defensive work is way better. Although against Ferguson it wasn't amazing, his offensive work is significantly better on the feet, and he's always been a dynamo on the ground. He's brilliant on the ground. So, and Chandler can hit hard. I don't think he's the fighter he once was, but that might be a good thing or a bad thing. So we're not betting either guy. We're betting the under 2.5 rounds at -138. My flyer of the week, I don't really like giving it, to be honest, but this is the betting show, and this is about dirty, cold, hard, rotten cash. And I'm going for a flyer in Bryce Mitchell to win by decision at minus 490. Now, I dislike Bryce Mitchell very, very much, but I can't ignore I assume we've all seen the clips going around this week of John Silva just getting taken out by, was it Charles Jourdain? Let me have a look here again. I think it was Charles Jourdain. Like, I find it very hard to look at a clip like that and go, hold on, wait. Against Charles Jourdain in June of 2024, this is not 5 years ago or anything, he got taken down over. Now, he ended up getting the finish in the end, but Bryce Mitchell is a damn side better of a wrestler. You say what you want about Bryce Mitchell, he can wrestle. Damn side better of a wrestler than Charles Jourdain. And if he can wrestle him, if he can tire him out, can he win the decision? Yeah, I think he probably can. So I'm going to go as simple as that. Look, who do I think will win straight up? I think Silva will probably end up knocking him out. But that price, based on Silva's wrestling from a year ago, less than a year ago even, like, what is it, 9 months ago? You have to give Bryce Mitchell a chance at plus 490. Like, I don't think Bryce is going to finish him or anything like that, but win the decision plus 490. I like that. Right. Those are the top 5 bets. Pay-per-view parlay for UFC 314. I'm going to go with a plus 635 parlay, and I'm going with Volkanovski. I'm going with Paddy Pimblett. I'm going for Yair Rodriguez, and I'm going to go for Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson he was a Green Bay Packer, wasn't he? I think he was. But Sean Woodson, and they're minus 125 Volkanovski, minus 148 Pimblett, minus 192 for Yair, and minus 166 for Woodson, given plus 635. And just a couple of bets that we haven't spoken about there in that Woodson. I've always been a big fan of Charles. Why do I keep calling him Charles? It's because I saw Charles Jourdain. But Sean Woodson, he's obviously very long and is a lovely striker, very, very talented. Against, Dan Ige, who, Dan hits hard, right? And if he can get inside, he can really, really hurt you. But he is a good technical striker, is Dan Ige. I just think the technical ability of Sean Woodson is very underrated because he looks a bit awkward. But I think he's a better technical striker than Ige, and he can fight from a distance where Ige really, can't get to him. And I just, I love Woodson in that fight. Really, really love Woodson in that fight. And in the other one, Yair Rodriguez against Patricio, I've gone over and over and over in this fight, and I'll be honest, I'm not massively confident in my Yair Rodriguez pick, as my voice goes. But what I do see in Yair versus Patricio is Patricio playing that, waiting game, unleash. And if he hits someone, onslaught. But that's a very, very hard game to play against Yair Rodriguez, who is happy to kick you in the knee from the outside, teep you, throw high kicks at you in a place that really you can't run him down because you know what he's going to do. He's just going to use his footwork to get away. And this is only 3 rounds as well. That's a massive advantage for Yair Rodriguez. If this was over 5 rounds, I could see a world where Patricio catches him or tries to wrestle him. I do think Patricio will try to wrestle at some stage in this fight. But I think there's going to have to be a big moment from Patricio. The biggest issue for Patricio, he's at a stage of his career now where he's getting on a little bit older, and he's 43 fights into his career. Rodriguez is only 24. Patricio has fought like really top level guys. If you don't watch the Bellator scene or didn't when it existed, Patricio fought the best of the best. He fought Michael Chandler, he fought Vincent Henderson, AJ McKee, all of those boys. Very, very, very good opponents. And he's, been in 5-round wars and quick finishes and knockouts and everything. He has had a UFC career, an MMA career. And, we should probably be talking about him in the same way we talk about maybe a Volkanovski or an Adesanya or the other lads I mentioned, someone like that, like, does he still have it type of thing? Not like, is he going to come into the UFC and cause a bang? And maybe he will. If he does still have it, then that conversation starts. But I find it very hard, when forced to give a pick. Again, I'll be honest, right? These top apart from the main event, right? The Pimblett fight, the Silva fight, the Patricio fight. I just want to kind of sit back and watch them. I don't know about you, and I understand this is the betting show, but at the end of the day, we're all MMA fans. We all love this, and I love those fights. But yeah, I just find it hard. Like, you know, when you kind of sit back and go, right, how do you close your eyes? Come on, everyone home, breathe in, breathe. How do you see Patricio Pitbull versus Yair Rodriguez going? I see Yair with his hand raised. 30-27, 30-27, 29-28, the winner, Yair Rodriguez. That's what I see in this fight. I don't think Patricio will catch him, but I kind of, no offense to Yair, I kind of hope I'm wrong, but not for the bet. So there you go. Right, those are all the bets. But let's look at some more odds and stuff like that. Let me pull this up here. Okay, so the main event, we obviously spoke about Volkanovski. Let's look at some of the props for that. We have good few props right now. The over-under halfway point, over minus 250, over 2.5 rounds. Yeah, I do think, like, I like Volkanovski to win the decision here. Let's have a look at the price on that. Volkanovski by decision, plus 240. I think that's a pretty good price. If you like Lopez by decision, plus 550. That's interesting. What's the Lopez knockout? Plus 335. What about the Lopez submission? Where is that? Am I blind? Plus 600. Yeah, so the Lopez ones are all kind of big prices there. The fight to go to a decision. Do we have that? We do. Best price, plus 132. Oh, I like that a lot. I like that a lot. Throw that down on my throw that in my ledger. Throw that in my ledger. Fight to go decision, plus 132. Chandler and Pimblett. This one, fight goes to decision, plus 360. Don't think so. This is the bet I wanted to do. If I got a good price, fight doesn't go to decision, but minus 530. You can't be giving me that. I was also maybe looking at Paddy via knockout, but plus 270, not big enough for me. And Paddy by submission, plus 250. If I had to pick a prop, it'd probably be that. But Chandler plus 300 via knockout. Again, not wet enough for my beak. Not wet enough for my beak there. Then we have Patricio in this one as well. Let's see the Yair by decision betting on this. So we have Rodriguez by decision at plus 140. Yeah, so that is, I suppose, the most obvious pick. If you think Patricio can get him and win a decision, plus 440. Patricio via knockout is plus 700. Wow, maybe that's a better flyer than my one. Plus 700. I think it might be. Then we have, you know, we the rest of these fights. Obviously, we talked about Mitchell Silva. I honestly thought John Silva would probably be a little bit bigger than minus 250, but I think people have probably seen that wrestling video. Do you know one bet I like? One plus money bet I really like. Dominic Reyes plus 160. Krylov has been fighting the war, lads. Has he even been training or anything? Like, where's Nikita Krylov been? I like him at that price. I like Woodson, as I said. Jan Giroba against Xiaonan. I'll tell you, give me the underdog. Give me the underdog, Yan Xiaonan there as well. Obviously, Chase Hooper's a big price, and Julian Arosa on the same card as Paddy Pimblett yet again. I'll never ever will I pick against my boy Darren Elkins. Darren Elkins all the way. All right, everyone. That is it for the betting show today. A quick recap of the 5 bets, but we have so much more. Hadley, minus 118. Bishop, minus 163, both over in PFL. We have Volkanovski, minus 125. We have Pimblett and Chandler to be under 2.5 rounds at minus 138. And then we have Mitchell by decision. That's a win-win bet there. If he loses, great. If he wins, we've won money, so great. And we have the pay-per-view parlay, Volkanovski, Pimblett, Rodriguez, and Woodson for plus 635. And then we have all the other picks from the PFL as well. But for now, that is it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Please let me know what your bet is, right? So comment section below. This is for all the people who have stayed till the end. Let me know your bet. Best bet in the comment section below gets read out next week. Whoever has the best bet will be read out next week. But yeah, we leave it there. Thank you very much for tuning in. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com. I'll see you all next time.